I'm Jelena Sanders. I'm going to be talking about the Euthyphro. So, the Euthyphro was written by Plato, and Plato was one of Socrates' students. So, first, we're going to talk about the fact that the Euthyphro was a early Platonic dialogue. What makes this dialogue early is the fact that it's very short. We tried to find out the definition of an ethical issue or ethical characteristic or topic, which is piety. And we see this dialogue between Euthyphro and Socrates, which are the main characters in this dialogue, is very, very short. So first we start off with Euthyphro and Socrates, who are the main characters. They encounter one another in Athens at a court. And what happens is they're both there for the preliminaries of possible trials. So we see that Socrates is being tried by Meletus for impiety, and then we have Euthyphro who's there trying his own father for manslaughter. So they get into this dialogue and discussion about why the other one's there, and Socrates mentions that he's just astonished at the fact that Euthyphro is trying his own father for manslaughter. He's like, you must really, really know the laws, and you must know all the religious laws for you to try your own father. And he pretty much applies him for, disregarding the fact that it's his father and upholding the law. But he also states that Athenian law says that only the deceased of the one that was killed could pursue the charge of murder. So Euthyphro disregards that and just basically says, yeah, I know all the laws. I pretty much know everything. He's very arrogant and ignorant to the fact that he really doesn't know everything. So we get into this dialogue and we see Socrates asking these questions to Euthyphro, basically putting the ball in his court. So we have Socrates want to know what is piety. So we get into the discussion, and Socrates wants a definition. So Euthyphro says, piety is what I'm doing now, is prosecuting religious offenders. And Socrates doesn't take that definition first because it's not an actual definition in universal terms. It's just an example. So he wants more. So he explains that to Euthyphro, and Euthyphro gives him another definition. And the second definition is what is pleasing to the gods. Well, of course, Socrates finds a flaw with this. And the flaw is the issue, what is pleasing to the gods is that the gods dispute. Well, Euthyphro doesn't believe this. He says that, of course, the gods will never have a dispute over someone killing without justification. And then Socrates mentions that, there would probably be a dispute over what really was justification. So we just basically X out that definition because Socrates finds a flaw. So then we get to this third definition that Euthyphro gives. And he's still not admitting the fact that he doesn't really know what piety is, just consistently talking and trying to give a definition. So we get into his third idea or thought what piety is. And he says, what all the gods love is pious and what they hate is impious. Well, what you run into, Socrates basically, I'm paraphrasing, what he basically says is that what is pious to one god might not be pious to the other god. So you have this issue of things being pious and impious in the same time, which is very impractical. So as I'm talking through the dialogue of the Euthyphro, we see that Euthyphro is very arrogant. He doesn't believe that he can learn anything. He thinks he knows everything. He's a sophist. He thinks he knows everything, and so he's just talking around the world and doesn't really give Socrates the actual definition of piety. So Socrates throws in this idea of just and piety, and are they the same thing, and what's the difference? And we see that we get out of Euthyphro is that so with the hint from Socrates, he gets out that piety is the care of the gods. And so Socrates references this to the care of dogs and care of horses, which means when someone cares for another, it's like they're gaining something. And so of course, Socrates finds flaw with this. He gets Euthyphro to agree with that just to make him to commit to something. And then he basically proves him wrong and says that, care of the gods and care of the dogs is not the same, because when you're caring for someone, they're benefiting. And of course, the gods are so omnipotent and powerful that they cannot benefit from the care of men. And there's nothing that men can do for the gods. And so basically, this whole story is a dialogue between these two about what piety is. And we come to the end of the dialogue, realize that we don't get a definition of piety. Euthyphro never admits that he doesn't really know what piety is, and we see that he gets upset and he's all huffing. He walks off and never answers the question. And Socrates continues to encourage him to answer the question, And he basically says he doesn't really know what pot is, and that's why he's not telling them. And Euthyphro walks off, and that's how we end the dialogue.